Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Horizen Weekly Insider number 63. Today is October 26th, and happy Monday to you all. We are live now here on Discord, and we welcome you all. Please remember that this call is being recorded and is going to be available for you to check out later in our Horizen podcast. Also, please remember to be asking your questions on Menti so we can have our regular Q&A session at the end. I'll pass the word now to Luca to give us the engineering updates.
Thank you, Angie. Welcome, everybody. And as usual, I'm here with Alberto. So we are ready to provide a lot of updates as usual. But this time we start with big news. Please, Alberto, welcome. And let's start from Rosetta.
Yes, thanks, Luca. Yes, big news today. Okay, and regarding the Rosetta implementation, the first final review of the Rosetta implementation was completed Friday evening. We identified just very few changes, very minor changes. And so these changes are already going to be finished by today. So we expect to have just a last final review this evening or tomorrow morning, but everything should be ready by tomorrow. So Rosetta seems to be almost completed. We have been, regarding the changes that we applied to the Rosetta implementation, all the core logic was implemented, and we are currently also working on the Travis pipeline in order to create the Docker image in order to publish it on GitHub. But maybe Chronic can provide some more details later. Obviously, before releasing, we are going to have some additional tests in testnet and change, just a few lint warnings. But other than that, we are almost there. And the tests are meant to see how the Rosetta integration is reacting on operation happening on testnet, for example. So let's suppose that the Rosetta instance is configured to manage some addresses. So we will test that if a user sends some coins to these addresses, these are detected by the Rosetta instances, are indexed correctly, and can be spent correctly. So this is what we are going to do next. But everything is almost ready. Okay, going on with ZenD, version 2.0.22 was successfully released this week, and communications to all partner and exchanges is ongoing. The release of Sphere by Horizen, compatible with this last version of ZenD, will follow. Regarding the halving, we have been working, as you know, about the unit tests, just to verify that everything is working correctly, and the unit tests have been already completed. So these are also ready to be reviewed. The first layer of review. Regarding Zendoo, we from tomorrow we will be start working on another interesting part of the Zendoo model, that is the certificate quality. Currently, the main chain implementation of Zendoo is not taking into account the quality. So just if two certificates are sent to main chain, are considered, let me say, equal in terms of quality, but the model instead, introduce this quality parameter that can let you decide between two certificates. And here, for example, for the quality, we can say the number of sidechain blocks that led to that certificate. So if you have a fork in sidechain, you will be able to decide which certificate to accept. So long story short, we have started working on the main chain side to manage the case where more certificates are sent for the same epoch, for the same sidechain, but with different qualities. And so this is something that is starting now. Regarding the SDK, we have been in the past weeks working on the change of nonce calculation and especially the logic for enforcing it. This was completed, and also a first code review was already done. So now it's waiting the final code review that is going to happen in the next days. But I mean, not strictly urgent. And always related to the SDK, we are progressing on the creation of a separate library for cross-chain transfer protocol that is shared by Zendoo main chain and sidechain cryptography. This is important because we don't want to duplicate some logic between the two libraries, and so we will have the common Rust implementation and I mean, we decided not to put this stuff in Gingerly because it was specific for Zendoo, and Gingerly we want to keep it more general as possible. But we needed a common place to put this logic, and so we are introducing this library for this purpose. Okay, let's switch to the proofs workshop. Very busy weeks, guys. Sorry for the long update, but many things are going on. Okay, proofs workshop. We are continuing the workshop sessions regarding the proof introduction on the sidechain side. Okay, we have been covering in the last week the bit vector implementation strategy in the circuit. So, for example, how we enforce that the bit vector is composed correctly, transitioned correctly, given the changes that we are applying on the state, on the UTXO states, on the box state. Quite tricky stuff, but I think that we ended up with a very good understanding, and also an analysis that covers it into details. Currently, we are, and we just finished a meeting probably 10 minutes ago regarding how to modify the hashes calculation for boxes and transactions. So how a box hash is computed, what are the fields that are part of it, and how they are enforced, how we enforce that we process everything, how the transaction hash has to be modified, and so on. So this is something that we have been discussing, and I think that we'll need some more iterations for having a more detailed analysis. And last is the proving system. Okay. Last week, we spoke about the speedup obtained by GPU. As we said last week, our tests confirmed that we were able to speed up the multiscalar multiplication using the GPU by a factor of 17 times compared to our fastest CPU implementation. For doing that, we used the Filecoin implementation. So, I mean, we are keeping proceeding on integrating this Filecoin implementation, and currently we use this only for MSM. But the Filecoin implementation also covered other aspects of the prover that can be reused also in our scenario. So we are currently identifying which parts have to be ported, and so for example, I mean FFT is one of the candidates that can be ported in our system that can provide even additional speed up. And another thing that we have been looking at is, we say GPU is faster, cool. Obviously, that's amazing, but the real comparison should be done by normalizing the performance improvement by the cost. So, because obviously, if a GPU was much more expensive, I mean, in reality, you don't have the benefit of using the GPU. Maybe you are just increasing the CPU. So, we have been evaluating by normalizing the cost, and we proved that it's cheaper to run the proving system on the GPU compared to run it purely on CPUs. And per our estimation, currently it's 40% cheaper than running purely in CPU. But I mean, we will refine this number later, because also we have to consider that currently our tests were using just the GPU and not using in parallel the CPU. And so, I mean, because these kind of instances will provide you some CPUs and some GPUs. So if you have an implementation that is capable of using the GPUs and in parallel using the CPUs, you are maximizing the cost. I mean, and okay, last about the proving system is related to the work we are doing for, modifying and adapting existing proving system to have the quickest and the more performant version of it for managing recursive scenarios, and in particular our scenario. So we are proceeding quite well with that, and we are also, and we are taking as a base Marlin, but we're also having, we are also looking at possibilities of having a fully a scenario where are using proving systems that are not using trusted setup at all. So this will come with probably a little cost in terms of performances, obviously, but we'll have some. We'll have the benefit of not having any trusted setup, but okay, still under evaluation. But this is something that we are also working on. And I think that's all. Sorry, maybe a little bit long.
This was a mammoth update. For sure, we also forgot something, but that's it from our side. Thank you, and see you later for engineering-related questions.
Thank you, Alberto and Luca. Now let's continue with Chronic to give us some of the infra updates.
Yeah, hello everybody. So after last week, there was a lot of work. So Zen 2022 is out. Swing is out as well. Sphere to follow at the beginning of November. But in terms of the release process, everything went very smoothly. We were actually as early as we ever were in terms of our planned goals. So all of them were met, and very happy about that. And for the Rosetta CI pipeline, I have an update. It should very likely be ready by tomorrow. So once everything is reviewed and we're happy with the code, all that we need to do is merge to master, and we'd be able to publish releases. And that's it from Infra for today.
Thank you, Chronic. Now let's continue with Jonathan to give us the growth updates.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. On the growth side, we are continuing to focus on referrals. So again, referrals are the best way for us to grow the community. It's always more effective to have someone tell someone about our project rather than do some kind of marketing for the project. Word of mouth is always most trusted and most cost effective as well. So we spent last week brainstorming about how to get everyone to refer at least one person to Horizen. And right now we're only getting about 10% of the people referring at least one person. And I think it's just too low. There's no reason everyone should not tell one person about Horizen. And so that's what we are trying to come up with some cool ideas with. We came up with a bunch of cool ideas last week, and we will announce a couple of the changes we're making in the following weeks. So in addition to that, we also spotted a couple of issues regarding CAPTCHA. Specifically, there seems to be some issues with CAPTCHA and Brave browser, which we caught after several users were having trouble. And we did a couple searches on the internet, and it's not just our users, it's users all around the world that are having trouble solving CAPTCHA puzzles when using Brave browser. And so we've temporarily had to switch our CAPTCHA from Google reCAPTCHA to our own custom CAPTCHA while this issue is solved. That's it for me. Gustavo, anything on your end?
Nothing for today. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, guys. Now let's welcome Dean for the BD and operations updates.
Hey, everybody. So this week, not a lot to report on the integration side, but very excited to give you some updates for Casper's, actually, to give us some updates on the sidechain partnership side. So Casper's, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Dean. Hi, everyone. So last week, we reached out to about 25 blockchain and crypto projects / companies and carried out 9 calls. Out of those 9 calls, I would say that we are looking at 3 or 4 projects that will be taken to the next stage, which means an introduction to our products team, discussing proofs of concept and addressing some technical questions. But I must say pretty much everyone was quite open in those calls and showing interest to collaborate with Horizen in some shape or form, either in the near term or looking to revisit partnership opportunities with us later on when they will have addressed some of their kind of pressing targets or milestones in the roadmaps. So for this week, we have already arranged 6 new calls and 2 additional are currently being synchronized. Thus, we are looking at a total of 8 new calls this week. On a final note, we are setting ourselves a target to onboard and announce our first partnership and logo from this process in the first half of November. So stay tuned. And that's it from my side. Thanks.
Thanks, Caspers. And I'll just say, not in our original plan, but very excited to have made what I think will be an exciting referral to our growth team and Jonathan. So Jonathan, if you need any help negotiating the business terms of that, obviously I'm here to help. That's it from our side. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you, guys. Let's continue with Lucy for the marketing updates.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Okay, so as usual, let's start with the developer community growth. So we had a 0.48% increase in our early adopter program enrollment and 3.82% increase on the HDE user signups. And all that brings our total developer growth to 8.11%. So steady growth as usual. We also saw an almost 20% increase in people who registered to view the complete how to build a customized DApp webinar. So that's really exciting. And then also I mentioned in the last weekly insider that we were making a one-stop page for all the resources a developer will need to learn to use our SDK. So these resources include things like webinars, videos, tutorial articles, documentation. So this knowledge base is live now on our website. So if you visit horizen.io/tutorials, you will see all the materials that can help a developer to start building on Horizen today. We will add new materials onto the page, as we constantly, making them make new helpful tutorials and guides. So if you are a developer and are interested in using our Zendu SDK, so it's really important that you join our early adopter program, so you will be notified as soon as any new materials become available. And then also the marketing division current big focus is refining our messaging, communications, and the website. So you will see some changes on our website in the next couple of weeks. And about events, Rob was invited to a blockchain conference hosted by our partner Major League Hacking last Saturday. So he gave a presentation about blockchain and Horizen for mostly young developers. And there was also an interview after the presentation. It was a really interesting event because Rob provided some great insights on what blockchain means for the young generation and gave some really good advice to young developers who may be getting ready for entering the job market or want to get more involved in open source projects. So the conference playback is available on YouTube, and we will also share Rob's interview with our community on the Horizen YouTube channel as well this week. So also we have some ongoing fun and joint giveaway event with our exchange partner, and you will see that on our social media feed. So make sure that you already follow us. And lastly, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but please do sit tight for exciting partnership news. That's right. Multiple pieces of partnership news. So no one is getting cold feet. Okay. So the upcoming one is an exclusive story. So the news reporter just, took time and make sure it's a good one. So maybe it's a little slow, but they're definitely coming. So stay tuned. That's it from me. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Lucy. Loving the FOMO right there. Let's continue with Rosario for product and engineering.
And I know it can be frustrating to have the pipeline of announcements a bit delayed, but I think it'll be worth it at the end. So for those that are interested in the development of the sidechain model, I'd recommend that you head to the Discord channel on sidechain channel specifically, and you'll see different scenarios being tested and explored. And it was just a really fun to see somebody join our Discord to really understand a bit more about Zendoo and our sidechain model. So please head there and look at Mauricio and Alberto in action and responding to some of the specific questions that they had. Okay, so I don't believe this was mentioned, but so I'll mention it now. We have a new release of Sphere that will include only critical fixes related to wallet corruption and wallet password bugs. So that will come out along with the Zendy deprecation. So be on the lookout for that. Rob mentioned that we will be programming a responsible release for open sourcing Sphere and turning over any of the new development to the community. So nothing that's specifically planned right now, but we will be announcing that once we have a responsible plan in place. And I am catching a lot of the calls that Casper's getting, so it's really nice to see this reinvigoration of these partnerships. So I'm setting up a process for the SDK certification program, as Casper has multiple angles of what he's been doing. So one is partnerships for Zendoo, and other is having developers build on Zendoo. So we have a certification program just to make sure that we are working with the right partners. On the HL side, I'm working 5 different projects. There's not a lot of details I could provide here, but I did want to raise the visibility that we are working on implementing our Zendoo with private organizations or other companies. And that process is going well. We have 2 projects that are in the requirement generation process, and one that is actually starting to the implementation process. And the others are still in the idea phase. So I just wanted to bring that up here, and thank you very much. That's it for now.
Thank you, Rosario. Rolf, would you like to add any comments or updates?
Not today, Angie. Thanks. Just listening.
Thank you. And now let's continue with Rolf for the final part and Q&A session.
Thanks, Angie. And first of all, a big thank you to Andreas. If you guys check out the Ask the Team channel here on Discord, you'll see I responded in some detail to some really good questions they had about the relationships between the foundation, the Zen Blockchain Foundation, we call it ZBF for short, and Horizen Labs, HL. So if you check out the thread there, you'll have a little bit more of a flavor for the distinction between the organizations, how they're funded, what they're working on, and so forth. But I figured that I'll use my time here just to give you a few minutes, explanation just on this call, just for anyone that doesn't catch the Discord chat. So it is important to understand the difference between the two organizations. So first of all, Horizen is an open community. It's an open community project, and we have certain organizations within this ecosystem. These organizations do not have a monopoly of the ecosystem. They bootstrapped it for sure. So the Zen Blockchain Foundation, ZBF, bootstrapped this project, and it was the entity that manages the treasury. So obviously an extremely important role and responsibility, and therefore was the entity that organized early work and still organizes a ton of work and hired the team. Pays bounties, funds all sorts of activities that the community has sponsored over the last 3 years. Importantly, though, relationship with the team it needs to be clarified as ZBF before Horizen Labs was the sole employing entity within the ecosystem. And the team comes from many different countries. I think we have representation from something like 14 countries around the world. So having clean employment relations, as in like hiring an employee from like a W-2 US employment perspective is not easy. So what we've done is the foundation was hiring every team member as an individual contractor. So things were operating reasonably well in this framework. And then volatility of 2018 hit and continued into 2019. And quite frankly, you guys who have been with the project for a while now are no strangers to the budget ups and downs that we've gone through as a project. And we've had to do things to survive, like go out and raise external capital. So here's where Horizen Labs came in. Horizen Labs actually launched, I would say realistically, prematurely, because in the ideal world, Horizen Labs would have waited for the core Zendoo open protocol to be a little bit more mature before the company raised capital and launched. But Horizen Labs stepped up sooner than it otherwise would have, because the ecosystem was going through a budget crisis basically at the tail end of 2018 and the early part of 2019. We had to do something really just for the project to survive and continue thriving and focusing on development, not stopping development on our core differentiating technologies Zendoo. So what we did was we went out and asked some VCs whether or not they would be interested or have any appetite to invest in capital in a new company. There was a for-profit company that was basically taking this technology that the foundation was doing, like the core open protocols Zendoo, and building blockchains and building products with it for businesses, really. I mean, that's the thing, is Horizen Labs is a business, and the goal is to actually have a product or products that make money. Building on this open tech stack, right? So in a way, you can think of Horizen Labs as like the Red Hat of the open source Linux world, in a way. And also, I put in the post that I view Horizen Labs as a hybrid, business organization like Twilio meets Red Hat, in the sense that Horizen Labs is its core product is building a zero knowledge circuit, so a proving system with a circuit at its core. And the way that the Zendoo open protocol works is that anyone can, it's a free open protocol where anyone can pop in a circuit that does certain things. It forces certain rules in certain ways. And what Horizen Labs is doing is putting in the first complete circuit to this protocol. I could say the first zero knowledge circuit into this protocol. And this is the heart of the lattice, the full lattice implementation, for which you can see some details in the most recent Zendoo white paper. So that's the gist. Stepping into the ecosystem at a time of crisis, raising capital to do so. Do a Google search or DuckDuckGo search, Horizen Labs, you'll see the lead investor was DCG. We also had Liberty City Ventures was the other VC supporting the project or the company. And then there were other smaller private investors. In particular, what makes Horizen Labs unique from a normal tech startup is that the team, the founding team, including myself, actually pitched in capital and significant amounts of capital ourselves. So we put our money where our mouths were and actually made significant risky bets personally so that we can actually, in some sense, save the project at a time of need. That's where Horizen Labs came from. Today, the relationship is this. Horizen Labs continues to do work on a consulting basis for ZBF. in addition to other software contractors. So ZBF employs a variety of contractors, both on the software side and non-software. People that run the community and community communications and so forth. They're also contractors for the foundation. We have some W-2s now. The foundation is growing, or I shouldn't say growing in personnel, but growing in maturity in the sense that it actually has a payroll system now to be able to pay employees. This isn't something that had when we first launched, but we've matured a bit. And the foundation hires software companies to do work for it. Software companies that it hires include NTT Data. It includes InfoPulse. It includes other smaller contractors, not big companies, on the software side. And it includes IOHK, and it includes Horizen Labs. So we knew that there was a potential for conflict here of launching a company, Horizen Labs, coming out of this open source ecosystem. So we took very detailed measures up front to make sure that there would be no ambiguity or conflicts of interest. Step one was creating an independent board of directors for the foundation so that independent board is the governing oversight entity and make sure that everything is done properly. We also have a very strong Silicon Valley legal firm that works with the board to make sure that everything is done exactly as it should. And then we also made sure that we set rate schedules that were predefined. So when Horizen Labs launched, it essentially collected together all of these independent contractors and put them under the Horizen Labs company on the software side. And we set rate schedules that were not at all controversial. I would say middle of the road, much less in rates than other entities that the foundation actively contracts with, and certainly reasonable from industry standards. So it was set up knowing that there could be questions of impropriety here. So we wanted to go way out of our way to make sure that we can head these things off before they ever become problems. And that's what happened. So today, Horizen Labs does some core software work for the foundation, but that is not at all the core business for Horizen Labs. It's something that it does now because we need to get Zendoo to market, and the expertise to do that resides on the lab side. So we continue to do that consulting work. It is decreasing significantly over time. I would say the current invoice the scope of work that we're invoicing for in November, planned for November, is something like a fourth of what it was at its peak. So it is significantly scaling down as the Zendoo protocol is maturing. And now the Horizen Labs team is focusing significantly more work on its core product and not work for the foundation. And over time, I do see Labs will just be part of this open ecosystem where we have a DAO and a voting system. And if Labs wants to pick up work that isn't part of its core business of building blockchains for clients, it could do so by submitting bids, just like anyone else, or submitting proposals to the DAO. That's the vision for it. And the same thing would be true for the foundation. No entity in this ecosystem should be perceived as a monopoly into perpetuity. This is supposed to be delegated to a DAO and have an actual voting system that includes the foundation. So anyway, guys, I probably went into more detail than maybe necessary. The aggregated numbers here for how the foundation spends its money, we report quarterly. And this is something that not everyone knew. But if you go back to any of our quarterly live streams, you will always see an accounting slide in there that shows the percentage of the budget that goes to which categories. And you can see as a technology-heavy project, we spend a very reasonable proportion of our budget on technology. And you could view Horizen Labs as a subset of this technology spend, but a subset, not all of it. And it is very within reasonable balance. I think you have something like 60%, if my memory serves me correct, of the total budget. And for a technology-heavy blockchain ecosystem, spending 60% of your budget on engineering is very reasonable. And some could probably argue too little. So anyway, that's it, guys. We can field any questions about this, especially if you have additional questions. Come check out the Ask the Team channel on our Discord server.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, so the first question maybe was already kind of like explained, but if you would like to add any more comments about this, it says, can you comment on the state of the treasury?
Yeah, this is something that unfortunately we've had to initiate scale downs on the foundation side, or just in really the macro scope of what we do, because we know that we're running in the red right now, ecosystem wise. I mean, so if we talk about the foundation labs collectively, we're just running very much in the red. So the foundation has taken measures to scale down its scope of operations and focusing specifically on two areas. So one is maintaining an open communication, or maintaining communication channels with the community. We want to make sure that news and updates continue to flow, because that would just be a travesty if the work that we're doing doesn't actually get out there to the community. And the second thing is focusing the technology exclusively on getting Zendoo to production. So that's where we're focusing now, and we're scaling down appropriately, which is a decision that's extremely hard to make, but we know that we're coming up with a halving at the beginning of December. So we're taking preventative measures to make sure that the foundation, just the ecosystem in general, are healthy and can weather a halving. That we honestly make no forecasts on where we think the price of Zen is going to be, because on one hand you could be too pessimistic, and on the other hand you could be unreasonably optimistic, and we just don't want to do that. So we're just being conservative and taking preemptive measures here.
Thank you. The second question is, you have been hitting to upcoming partnerships, still ongoing, or have anyone got cold feet?
No cold feet. In fact, we're actually loading up on more partnerships and continue to have more interesting calls, and hopefully some of these. So Lucy mentioned the reason why. So we have a pipeline of partnerships announcements that we want to make. Work has already started, like Rosario said. We're already working with these partners, two of them actively already, and then the others we're still scoping out the design. But the biggest partnership that we have right now, we wanted to go out first with an exclusive announcement in a very well-known crypto journal or news outlet. And we were just waiting. So we have a pipeline just waiting on this first one. And the first one, the journalist is doing significant due diligence, and that announcement has been delayed, but is for sure going to be announced. No cold feet.
Thank you. The third question is, when hackathon or competition?
That's a great question. To be frank, we are scaling down on things right now due to budget concerns. So we're going to first work through what that means. So just so you guys have a little insider information on how we do this, is we're laying out the scope of everything that we do, because we do just an enormous amount of work, and we're just going to be slashing that. So if we're reducing the budget 50%, we're going to try to, at a minimum, reduce the scope of things that we do about 50%. Once we get through this cycle and understand exactly what scope of work is going to remain, then we're going to turn our attention to additional things that we want to do like this, and obviously always budget dependent, but absolutely critical in getting the developer community bootstrapped and working productively.
Thank you. I'm going to pick an additional question that I see that's very interesting. It says, how often do you send out email to hips or hippers? I have not received any emails, not in spam or nothing.
Well, I've seen them. Lucy, do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah. Thank you, Angie. I was gonna say, like, if you didn't mention. So we the last email we sent out to HEAP was 3 days ago, and so we send out 2 to 3 emails every month on average, depending on our activities. So the sender could be either Horizen HEAP or Horizen Devs. If you still don't see any emails from these, either of these two senders, please let me know, and then I'll make sure that you are indeed on our mailing list. But we do send out, emails to all of our HEAPs, so make sure it's important that you are on the list. Thanks.
Thank you, Lucy. And one last quick question. Any new upcoming tasks on HDE?
So we just loaded a new task 2 weeks ago. On the Zendy side, so that's been ongoing, and we are looking at adding new tasks as we go. So one of the plans is to potentially open source our website and do just because the website work is a bit more. We have a bit more devs out there for a website type of work. So yes, so keep that in mind, and we will be posting more tasks.
Thank you, Rosario. Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you, everyone, for attending our weekly Insider. Remember, we do this every Monday at 3:30 p.m. UTC on Discord to give you the latest Horizen updates. Have a great week. Bye.